Good morning and welcome to the Shero Coffee Chat. I am your host, Melissa, and I am a proud Army veteran, and this is the platform of choice for the Women Veterans Voice. I am so glad that you decided to spend this space and time with me, and I hope that you have enjoyed your week. Well, we've got some things to talk about, but as always, let me start off by taking a sip. I am sipping that dark roast this morning. Yes. And where can you get your very own dark roast? We already know, you already know, right here at SheroCoffee.com. So the Shero Coffee Club is an e-commerce subscription coffee brand that I started 2 years ago. We became an official business 2 years ago, and our mission is to keep the world caffeinated and women veterans celebrated. And on each of our bags, so this is a bag of dark roast that you see a picture of a veteran woman. Yes. And every dollar goes to support and participate in events that celebrate women veterans. So when you buy a bag of our Shero Coffee brand, you are supporting a worthy cause. Today, we're going to talk about Leslie Holly Hitling. Yes, so she served in the U.S. Army Corps from 1986 to 2008. And her narrative is so simple. She said, I am most proud of completing over 20 years of service. Yes, thank you, Leslie, and am now a veteran. So many people, listen to this. So many people counted me out saying I would never make it through basic training. And we all know basic training is the first training you go to when you join the United States Armed Forces. And I think it's so interesting that she said so many people counted her out and thought that she would never make it. And she went on beyond 20 years of service. So a salute to you, Leslie. And if you just think about her words, how many times have people counted you out based on their own fear or based on their own judgment of you? And that's what you can't let people do. Don't let people tell you what you can and cannot do. Only you know what you're capable of doing or capable of not doing. People will try to fit you into their boxes so they can relate to you better. They can relate to you in the way that they want to. You cannot allow that. You cannot allow family to do it to you. You cannot allow friends to do it to you. You can't even be influenced by mentors or people you actually trust to tell you what you can and cannot do. Now, they can make recommendations in your life, but ultimately you need to leave that decision up to you. And I'm really serious about that because so many people have counted you out and said you couldn't. And I want you to think about the times that you've proved them wrong. Now keep going with that. And I'm going to take a sip to that. And a salute to you for not listening to people who try to push their fears of something they won't or can't, that they feel like they won't or can't do onto you. And I take my hat off to you, Leslie, for doing it, girl. Which leads me into today's topics because you know I'm only going to spend a few minutes with you. To vote or not to vote. Man, it's so divisive. The political climate is so crazy. And November 5th is almost here, and we will have a final decision. And if we don't have a final decision because of voter fraud and all those other things, then eventually we're going to get a president. I'll just put it to you like that. But just remember, and you can see it all on your timelines and things like that in social media. Voting is a personal decision. Voting is a very personal decision. And it's a if you want to participate in the democratic process, then you vote. That's participating in it. But you still are participating when you don't you're still exercising your right to vote, not participating. You're still exercising your right to vote if you choose not to. And why does it matter? No one knows what you're gonna do anyway, right? Unless you tell them. No one's in I don't think they have surveillance in the booth yet. Yeah. And I mean, you've got like both parties just going at it, and you've got people that's been friends forever disliking each other based off of who they're going to vote for, which is still a personal choice. And yeah, okay, so your vote is influenced by what you see, your experience, what you believe in, and that may conflict with someone else. But as human beings, you can agree to disagree. That's why we have 2 different parties, even though there's more there no, we have more than 2 parties. We have 2 main parties because there's more than Donald Trump or Kamala Harris running in this election. You do know that. You are aware of that. But let's just think of some reasons why people won't vote. Well, for one, they probably think that things are just blown out of proportion with these candidates. They've lost confidence in the candidates. They've lost confidence in the media informing them on the candidates. Sometimes it's challenging it's which is really strange, seeing as though the way they want to allow people to just come up and vote, but sometimes there are barriers to actually voting. So there are a couple of things that, and and you have your own reasons. You probably can come up with some more reasons why we wouldn't vote. But I mean, those are some basic reasons why people don't vote. And I'm sure you have more. Please share in the comments. I always forget to say that. But the ultimately voting is a personal choice. If you do vote, you are participating in the decision-making process of who you want to govern, period. And it's a way for people to just express what they believe in based upon policies and issues. Like me, for instance, there are so many topics that came out on about Blacks, about women, about just inflation. There's so many things that came out during this election season that I could choose from. One of the topics I'm always concerned about is veterans. Right. So what I did was I looked at the Biden Harris policy and I looked at the Trump policy just to see, what they favored, what they invested in while during their tenure. And although Kamala Harris was the vice president, that is the second she would be the leader of the nation if something were to happen to President Biden. So I see those policies as one and the same, and that's how I look at it. And I did look it up, and let me just see what it says right here. So, because I do not know these things offhand. So let's talk about policies. So Trump. We'll go to the Trump administration. So during the Trump administration, there are several policies and initiatives aimed to supporting veterans. So he's got the Veterans Health Care, which is the VA Mission Act that was signed into law in 2018, and it was aimed to improve access to community care outside the VA system and to modernize healthcare system and provide more choice for veterans seeking medical treatment. He's got the VA accountability. So the VA Accountability and Whistleblower Protection Act of 2017 made it easier to remove, demote, or suspend VA employees who engaged in misconduct or underperform, while also protecting whistleblowers. So, mental health and suicide prevention efforts were made to address veteran suicide through initiatives like the President's Roadmap to Empower Veterans and End a National Tragedy of Suicide. So, that stands for the word prevents. So, it's called the Prevents Program. The GI expansion bill under President Trump was the Forever GI Bill, signed in 2017, extended education benefits to more veterans and made the benefits available without an expiration date for new beneficiaries. And it also provided additional support for STEM programs. Then he's got the Veterans Employment and Training. The administration promoted hiring initiatives for veterans, including expanding transition assistance programs and supporting veteran owned businesses. Reduction of veteran homelessness that continues to be a problem. Um, but yet we can find housing for people who are veterans. I just find that really interesting. Efforts were made to decrease veteran homelessness by increasing funding for supportive housing program and services to help homeless veterans find permanent housing. Okay, so those are the policies under Trump, which improved. It says veterans health care access, increasing accountability within the VA, enhancing education benefits, and addressing mental health and homelessness among veterans. Now, the Biden Harris administration has prioritized healthcare access. Let's see what they did. The administration has worked to expand healthcare services for veterans through the Department of VA. This is kind of general. This includes addressing wait times, improving quality of care, and increasing access to mental health services with a particular focus on reducing suicide rates. That's kind of general. There's nothing specific. Here's a good one. Toxic exposure legislation. The administration supported honoring our PACT Act, which was signed into law in 2022. This act expands health care and benefits for veterans exposed to toxic substances during military service. Burn pits, I know all about those burn pits, and Agent Orange. Um, and then mental health and suicide prevention efforts have been made to expand mental health resources and programs for veterans. This includes Veterans Crisis Line, and increased funding for initiatives aimed at reducing suicide among veterans, recognizing mental health as a critical aspect of overall well-being. Okay. Veterans benefits. The administration has aimed to improve. When I hear, it's just for me, when I hear the word has aimed, like it's nothing definitive, but let's see what comes after that. All right, the administration has aimed to improve and modernize the delivery of benefits, including disability compensation, by updating the claims process to make it more efficient and accessible. Well, that's good. But you would definitely have to look at the statistics behind that in order to prove that. And then ending veterans homelessness, that's a very important one. Like I said, when I read during the Trump administration, um, the administration has prioritized efforts to reduce veterans' homelessness by increasing funding for housing programs. So you would have to go and see whether that was done or not, providing rental assistance. Those are programs that are kind of already in place. So they're increasing funding. So you would have to really dig deep to find that. Increasing funding for housing programs, providing rental assistance, and coordinating support services to help veterans secure stable living arrangements. And then employment and education programs have been supported to help veterans transition to civilian life, including job training, educational benefits under the GI Bill, and resources for veterans entrepreneurs. So the Biden Harris administration's policies focus on comprehensive support for veterans, addressing healthcare, mental health, toxic exposure, benefits modernization, and reducing homelessness, while also supporting transitions to civilian life. And so I think that's the kind, so I would take those things. If that's really what I'm ultimately focused on, is what is the policy for veterans? I would take those things. and weigh the pros and cons of each and everything that was said. I'd go see the research. Okay, they talked about increased funding, they talked about doing this, they talked about the PACT Act. I would actually go in and research whether that was done. So take something, even if it's just one thing that you're passionate about during this election, and just kind of research that. The one thing, because there's so many topics. I mean, you're governing over 340 million citizens, 340 plus million citizens in the United States. So you as a citizen, what I recommend you do, take the one thing you're most passionate about and go for that. There are a lot of things you can be passionate about. Um, and exercise your your right to vote or don't participate in the process. But no one should be judged because of the choice, the personal choice. That is what's most important. The personal choice they made in this election. Because, I mean, some people might feel as though their vote doesn't count and they don't want to participate in the process, or they think it's overblown. And so do I you don't talk about people for for the choices that they make in their personal lives. You don't, I mean, and that's a choice too. You know, what right do I have to tell you what to do? But I mean, a reasonable per a reasonable person's judgment. Come on, do we break up because you're a Democrat or I'm a Republican, or can we find some common ground? And that's why a long time ago, I just remember when I was younger, they used to always say, don't talk about politics or money. But we don't live in those times now where we can express ourselves. So let's just allow people to express themselves without taking it so personal. So to vote or not to vote is the choice of every American citizen, in my opinion. And that's all I've got for today. Enjoy your Sunday, and I will see you next Sunday. Don't forget, I am trying to build this platform to bring more women veterans on to express their voice, their opinions, because I think everyone has a story, everyone has an opinion, everyone has something that they want to share. So please subscribe to this channel. And that's it. As always, be brilliant, be you, be blessed. I will see you guys next Sunday. Enjoy your week. I'm out.